Hello?
Hi, Vincent.
Hi, hold on. Let me talk for a bit. Let me see if it's probably my headset that is the problem.
I can hear you clearly.
You can hear me clearly. Hold on. I need to turn my headset off because I can't hear you. Hold on. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Um, so I did
You
my
can't
third
hear
ketamine.
me?
I did my third ketamine treatment.
Yes, how did it go?
Well, it went rather well because so I have my blog christiansciencehinduism.blogspot.com, and I've been really worried about so I'm trying to disprove Vedanta, right? And um well, to make a long story short, I finally found articles that show there's a difference between Vedanta and quantum mechanics, which I had been looking for. Now, this is what I was thinking about the whole time when I don't get high. I get a little bit, I don't know, I get ruminative, but I don't get high when I take this stuff. It,
Mm-hmm.
it makes me think. It makes me think, but it's not like I'm like rip roaring high or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but anyway, I was really worried about this, and I was really worried about where I was going. And the thing is that, okay, so that blog, christiansciencehinduism.blogspot.com, um, in it, so I read two papers. One was called Christian Science and Vedanta, and one was called Christian Science and Hindu Philosophy by two Swamis, and it's on there. You can read them. And basically, these Swamis said that by using Vedanta, you could cure the sick and raise the dead. So the thing
Sorry,
is,
can you say that again? Because, I mean, I don't really quite see why you're bothering because not many people know about or care about Vedanta or quantum
wait,
mechanics,
whoa,
and they
lots
would
of
know the
people care about,
difference.
lots of people, Claire, just because you don't run in those circles doesn't mean that lots of people haven't heard of Vedanta or quantum mechanics. And it does matter if they are trying to use quantum mechanics to prove Hinduism, you should care, but also you should care because it could prove the Trinity. People are using quantum mechanics to to say that all kinds of religious things are true, and like I
Okay,
don't.
I know Jen Sharf was trying to use it, but nobody got it anyway.
Well, the thing is that plenty of physicists are studying Vedanta now, thinking it's taking over. I mean, you don't pay attention.
What is Vedanta?
Vedanta is just a philosophy of how life works and consciousness and how consciousness works and what the reality of life really is and that kind of stuff, answering the mysteries of the universe, and it's being used, or quantum physics is being used to try to prop up Vedanta, and so I am concerned about that, and
But,
so
but only idolaters would bother doing that.
why if
Because they would be atheists, and
that's not
they're
atheism.
full
Vedanta
of
is not
shit,
atheism.
basically.
Vedanta is not atheism. Vedanta is not atheism.
Yeah, but it's just well, okay. Nobody takes Hinduism seriously.
Excuse me,
Well,
lots of people take Vedanta very seriously when it comes to quantum mechanics. This is the problem that you're not following. Just because you're not reading these scientific papers doesn't mean that this is not a problem, Claire. Fine. You don't read scientific papers on Vedanta and quantum mechanics. It doesn't mean that physicists and and Hindus aren't cross conflating these two studies.
what's it
Doesn't
got to
mean
do with politics anyway?
well, because it. because people might think that Hinduism is the way to go.
Okay, so if they started to say that, the Muslims would,
The Muslims
well,
have no thing
pull it
like
down
Vedanta.
because it's just stupid shit, isn't
It's
it?
not stupid. Plenty of physicists are falling for this. It's not. It's very hard
Yeah,
to.
but they're making a category error, aren't they? It's like
How do
science
you
has
know,
nothing
Claire?
to do with
Claire,
religion.
Claire, there's barely anything. I had to search and search and search and search and search to find. I only found two papers that say that quantum mechanics is not Vedanta. All the rest say that they're correlated. It's
Okay, well, I don't know anything about that. I don't care about that. I don't think anybody is talking about it as if it mattered. It's
it does
something that
that.
maybe
Well, Jen Sharp
Duvid
is
or
not
Jen
the
might
only
want to
one.
talk about.
No, but you're not following all these Hindu channels, and you don't,
Yeah, because I
or
have the greatest contempt for that.
and you also don't follow these quantum mechanic channels
Yeah,
either.
because it's nothing to do with politics.
It kind of no, it does because it's being used. Well, quantum mechanics is being used to prove the Trinity. So don't you care about that?
Sorry, okay, okay, this is new to me. Who is it? Who is using quantum mechanics to prove the
Look up
Trinity?
quantum mechanics proves the Trinity or quantum mechanics and the Trinity, and you'll find articles that because okay, so the thing is that it's based on a misunderstanding that a particle can be both one and many at once, and and you
In two places at the same time, you mean?
yes, in two places, which is really not true, which is really not what quantum mechanics is saying. But you have to care to find that information. Like, the thing is that most physicists are not out there. Most physicists are not out there trying to say, oh no, Vedanta doesn't prove the Trinity. I mean, quantum mechanics doesn't prove the Trinity or Vedanta. Most of them from all the papers that are out there are falling for this, and and it is important to make sure that
Well, but
it,
it's not a political movement, is
well,
it?
saying it has political implications for
What are the political implications?
whose religion. Well, in India, they're using this to say, well, Vedanta, Hinduism is the most scientific religion, so it's better than
No, but
Islam.
it's
And
nothing to do with science. Religion and philosophy are two different branches of
yeah,
study.
well, you're not listening to what these physicists are saying then,
Yeah,
because
because physicists have nothing to say about politics and religion.
yes, they do, because they're saying that Vedanta. Also, you've never seen that. Who's that really famous Japanese guy that says Kabbalah is Vedanta? Hold on, let me look him up.
I don't even, I've never heard of these crazy people.
Well, yeah, but you don't even follow the. Okay, fine, Claire, you
Yeah,
don't care,
I
but
mean, why would I? They're not even saying anything that makes any sense in
yes, they
practical
are. Well,
terms.
according to them, they're making sense. According to like these people, according to these physicists and to these Hindus, it's making sense. And I'm trying to show that it doesn't make sense, but you don't even care to show that it doesn't make
Well,
sense.
I'm just waiting for you to explain how it matters to the wider world. It's
Well,
not going to
because it
affect
depends.
the.
You want them to rank the religions. Well, if you're ranking the religions according to science, right now, if you were talking to the physicists, Hinduism would win. And I had to. They're not working. I barely found anything that separated them. All the two were talking about how they're interrelated and how Vedanta is being used and was read by all the quantum physicists to get them to this point, and a lot of quantum physicists were into Vedanta. Uh, that's not a lie. They really, really were into Vedanta.
Okay, well, okay, I first heard of this through Jen Sharp, and she's given up on the idea, and Duva never took it
She's not
further.
a quantum physicist.
Well, she has a degree in physics, doesn't she?
Yeah, but she doesn't have a PhD in quantum physics, and she's not the founding father of quantum physics who's reading Vedanta and praising it.
Yeah, but I mean, how is it going to affect the outcome of the 2024 or any election in 2024?
It's not.
You know,
Well,
it's
that's
not.
not everything. Not everything is just that, Claire. Well, honestly, okay, fine. You don't care that another religion is getting a one leg up over you, and you just don't even care to like to.
Well, I mean,
See,
I don't see how.
well,
Okay, because
I care about Hinduism gaining popularity, and that's why I care about it because
okay, but it's easy to debunk, is
no,
what
it's
I'm
not.
saying.
There's only I had to search everywhere for anything to try to debunk it. It's not easy to
Okay,
debunk.
what is its claim? What is its claim?
It's claim like well, but it's based on misunderstandings about quantum mechanics. Like there's no difference between the observer and the observed, and it's all one principle. I don't know enough about Vedanta. Like when I read those papers that were distinguishing the difference between quantum mechanics and Vedanta, I couldn't really fully understand everything that they were talking about. This is very complicated stuff. But
Okay, so
the fact
nobody's gonna get it.
well,
Nobody's
excuse
gonna
me, all
get
these
it.
physicists get it, and all these
Okay, but
physicists
they're
get it.
not going to be able to explain it to the ordinary person
Okay,
who
well, but
who
people are just going to listen to them because they're physicists.
well, nobody ever associates
The point is that Hinduism is
physics
getting a one up
physics with
over this.
religion.
What Hinduism is getting a one up over this, and so I do care.
Okay, so you think there is a danger that Westerners will become Hindus, and that's why you
Or at
care.
least become interested in Vedanta and think that it is the most scientific form of religious understanding out there. Yes, that's what's happening.
Well, it's actually Islam that has all the answers to the universe.
No, Islam has nothing equivalent to Vedanta
No,
and
no, because it's saying, oh, well, the Quran describes a Big Bang, and obviously, you're meant to
there's
think
more
that
to
God
there's
caused the
more
Big
to
Bang,
science than
and
the
it's
Big
so
Bang.
simple.
It doesn't explain consciousness. Vedanta explains or it seeks to explain consciousness and what the universe is, and is it one or is it two, and does the soul unite with God, and all these
Well,
different
it's
kinds of things.
speculation, isn't it? Nobody can possibly know.
Well, if you bring quantum, this is what I'm saying, that when they bring in quantum mechanics, it makes it look like the two are one and the same, and it makes it look like quantum mechanics supports Hinduism, which is not something that you want being spread, especially when it's getting into the upper echelons of society.
But all this is so easy to debunk
No,
because
Claire, you wouldn't even understand that scientific paper
yeah,
even.
nobody does. So
Yes, a
they'll just
physicist
not
do. If I
get it.
showed it
And
to a
if they don't,
physicist, if you showed it, look, not, people are so dumb. These physicists are standing up and saying quantum mechanics supports Vedanta, and people are listening to them even though they don't. I don't know. I don't even know what they're talking about when they say quantum mechanics supports Vedanta, but I know that they're
but
saying
they're
it,
just
and I know
doing a
that
Jen Sharf.
yeah, but Jen Sharp is just a nobody. I'm talking about university physicists. I'm not talking about Jen Sharp. She didn't make that up. She got it from somewhere. She stole it from someone.
Okay, but she could make anything of it because
No,
okay,
but she's not a quantum physicist. Why are you using her as an example?
no, because she wanted to be a
She's not
cult
a
leader,
quantum
so she was
physicist.
using these ideas to become a cult leader,
I know,
and
but
I was
you're
all ears
probably
about how she's going to
doing.
do it, and she couldn't
She's not
explain
a quantum
it.
physicist. She's not a quantum physicist. She doesn't count. I'm talking about university physicists. I'm not talking about someone with a bachelor's degree in
But it
writing.
doesn't matter in the end because if it's not um, coherent or
It
intelligible
is
to
coherent,
ordinary people, then they
but
would
they
have no
will
reason
listen
to
to these
act on it.
Okay, fine. You don't care that Vedanta is like being made to look like the scientific religion, and people are
Yeah,
falling for it.
I mean, okay, I know from Duvet that he talks about the philosophy of science. What do you understand by that? Is this what you're also talking about? The
I know.
philosophy of science?
I'm not talking about philosophy of science. I'm talking about how I'm no, I'm not. I'm just talking about how this movement to make Vedanta seem scientific, and you're just acting like nobody's even talking about this. Jen Sharp, just be, but you're also making that fallacy that all of these other people make. I've never heard of this, so therefore it doesn't exist. Like, I've never said that in my life.
I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I'm saying maybe there are more important things to talk about than
Well, but
Um,
this is okay, Claire. You know what? But you also, yes, you don't really get into scientific discussions either. It's not your interest. And so you're not really paying attention to these movements. And
okay, I just remember trying very hard to understand what Jen was trying to
oh, stop
say.
with Jen Sharp. She doesn't count. She just doesn't count.
Okay, but she's obviously using it to for her own cultish reasons. That's why I mention her.
Yes, well,
And
but
I'm saying
nobody's
she
going to
couldn't
listen
make
to
it
her.
intelligible, and that's why it failed.
Nobody's going to listen to her, though.
Yeah, but because she wants to overcomplicate things, and actually, what you should be doing is making things, is simplifying them. And she loves to complicate things because she thinks it makes her, seem smart.
Okay, well, this is not what the
But if people
physicists
don't
are.
even understand what you're saying, they can't act on any belief.
Okay, but the physicists are not necessarily doing what she did. They're not overcomplicating it. They're just, well, quantum mechanics is complicated, so, but they're not trying to overcomplicate it to sound smart. They're trying to simplify it down and say, look, if you look at Vedanta and you look at quantum mechanics, there's a similarity there. And to quote all of these quantum physicists that are reading Vedanta, it's just and then you have these Hindus saying that, well, look, where it supports us, we're better than Islam, we're better than Christianity and Judaism because we found all the mysteries of consciousness. And that's, for somebody who cares about which religion wins out, you would care about that.
Well, obviously, if you want to change people's beliefs, you need to make this belief you want them to hold something they can understand and apply.
But there's,
Because if
well,
they don't even know what the hell you're on about, you're not going to change their beliefs. It's
you
like,
don't, Claire. There are people who are interested in quantum mechanics and who are able to be deceived. And the thing is also that they are simplifying quantum mechanics and Vedanta, but they're doing it in a deceptive way. They're doing it in a deceptive way, and they are simplifying it for people. Like, oh, there's no difference between the observer and the observed, and this and that, and history can be changed, and all these other kinds of things. And this is becoming part of like pop psychology, pop culture. It is becoming part of pop culture, and that's just something that's not good. And the thing is that it's gaining in popularity.
okay, so I've found a paragraph talking about the concept of Vedanta, and it says Vedanta philosophy teaches that the manifestation of one's divinity is a goal of life. This just sounds like narcissism to
No,
me.
no, the Claire, that I'm talking about, it's how it explains consciousness. I'm not, yeah, there's things about what it means, what it all means, but that's not the part that anyone's talking about. What people are talking about is it's these very complicated things about how the mind and the body work together, and the material and the spirit, and this and that, and how your mind can change reality. And I mean, very complicated things that these physicists and these
This
Hindu.
is what you said you didn't like about when you believed in God. It's
Yeah, but
magical thinking.
I'm not believing in this. I'm trying to disprove all this. I'm actually trying to help you, Claire, by eliminating competition.
Oh, thank you. Okay, well, I'm just trying to, make it simple for anyone who might be listening. So we have to define what we mean. And so far we've defined Vedanta. And then the
No, you
next
didn't
one,
define Vedanta. No, no, no. There's no way. There's no way that I. This. It's. This takes up very complicated terms and very complicated things, but I did say that it is all being simplified deceptively in order to get people to believe not just Vedanta, but lots of kinds of mysticism, like, Kabbalah and Gwen, whatever his Gwenin or whatever his name was, and this.
Guénon. Okay, I think I get it. Okay. So basically, I didn't read, I should have read out the whole paragraph to you earlier about what is the concept of Vedanta. So it says Vedanta philosophy teaches that teaches that the manifestation of one's divinity is the goal of life. One can achieve the soul's divine nature through a conscious understanding of the oneness of existence. Vedantic philosophy affirms that a practitioner of Vedanta, known as a Vedantist, should seek harmony with all religions.
No, but this is,
So,
I'm not talking about that section of Vedanta. I'm talking about the mechanics of Vedanta, which the, is much more complicated than what you just read and has, that's the aftermath of Vedanta. That's what you get when you realize all of this stuff that they taught you that unfortunately is close enough to quantum mechanics that it looks a little bit or a lot of it like quantum mechanics.
okay, I'll probably have to ask you about mechanics, but can I just? This isn't long, so what I've just read to you suggests it's some kind of well, it's idolatry because um, God and His creation are separate, and these people seem to be pantheists. So they are
Well, but isn't that the competition here?
monists.
Okay, well, you don't understand that this idolatrous system has a hold over, it's getting a hold over science, and that's not good. And you're just saying, well, okay, I don't understand it either, Claire, but I can see how these physicists and these Hindus are misrepresenting it in order to get somewhere.
Okay, so I'm just going to call it idolatry. But can we talk about Vedanta spirituality? This is a short paragraph anyway. What is
Yeah, but you're not reading
Vedanta?
the right part. You're just reading the aftermath of Vedanta. You're not actually reading the mechanics of Vedanta. This is your whole. So you're just going to say, well, it's idolatry, and so therefore it's nothing. But that's not a good response. You know, that's not a. If so, what if it's idolatry? And so if quantum mechanics proves it's true, then idolatry is true, and idolatry is good. So I mean, you should actually be concerned about these mechanics, not, you know, you can't just dismiss everything. It's idolatry, so therefore it's wrong. Like it's, this is making it look like idolatry is right.
Well, no, it doesn't. I mean, I mean, okay, somebody can say, I don't see the harm of idolatry, and then I can say, well, I can point it out. So, because
No, but
these people just,
you're not going to. Yeah. So what if they have scientific evidence for idolatry? Who cares if it's idolatry if they have scientific evidence for it?
no, I mean, nobody's denying that idolatry exists, even those who disapprove of it. It's like saying, well, crime exists, but you don't like crime. You don't want crime to be rising. I mean, we're acknowledging it as a concept.
Mr.
And,
Pello is in the Mr. Pello is in the chat. So Mr.
how
Pello,
nice.
I'm dropping the link so you can come on. And he said spirituality is better than ketamine. Well, but
Hmm.
ketamine does seem to be working, and it does seem to be having some kind of opening effect on me, and it is reducing my depression. Definitely, it definitely is. And as I said, I'm not getting high on it. It's only low doses. But okay, this is the same thing that the Vedantists would say that, well, if you just follow it our way, you'll be less depressed. And I do find that the people who follow this are less depressed, but it has a weakening effect, in my opinion, on people.
Hmm. And Stephen J. James says, Jim
I
is
know
the greatest physicist in the world.
Vincent is just a silly boy high on ketamine, but um, um, well, you just don't, you just, you know, well, I mean, again, I mean, you have this kind of. Well, the thing is that Vedanta and quantum physics being related is no longer like some fringe, you know, movement. I mean, it's no longer a fringe movement. It's something that's entered the mainstream, and you know, but The thing is that, people,
People
again,
are
you're
going to
into
ask, what's it got to do with the price of fish?
because, well, because, well, according, it's making idolatry look scientific. So you should be concerned about it because it is a competing idolatrous system that is seemingly having the approval of science behind it.
Well, I can imagine that idolaters and the government would be trying to push this new rubbish belief system on us.
Okay, well, it's really hard to just prove that it's rubbish because 99% of the scientific papers don't do that.
Well, all that is required is to point out the harm of idolatry
Well,
and
but
define it.
who cares if it looks scientifically real? Then people are going to say idolatry is real and you're wrong and there's nothing wrong with it.
Well,
And
I'm not denying the existence of idolatry. I'm just saying,
no, but
you shouldn't do it.
you're denying you're denying that it's being made to look scientific, and then that's a problem.
Okay, I don't see how it's scientific
Well,
at
it's
all.
being made to look that way.
Well, basically, um, the um, how it works is that people like the sound of it. It's like um, hold on, but let me just say, see what is this? But
Well, no,
what is Vedanta's
it's not that people like
spirituality?
it's not that people like the sound of it. It's just that they are very similar. It's not that they're not similar. I don't deny that they're similar. I don't even deny that they're very similar. But
Well, what's very similar to what?
Vedanta and quantum physics, the philosophy of quantum physics and the philosophy of Vedanta are very similar.
What
I
is the philosophy of quantum physics?
it's how your consciousness is interacting with the particles and how your measurement is interacting with the particles, and that basically your consciousness is changing outside reality in some way. I'm not a quantum physicist, so I can't explain it to you perfectly, but the thing is that in some ways it does seem like Vedanta and Kabbalah, and
It's
it,
hocus pocus and mumbo jumbo.
no, but this is being no. It's well, I know that it's hocus pocus and mumbo jumbo, but most people don't know that it's hocus pocus and mumbo jumbo.
Yes, but you see, the advantage of Islam is that it can just, well, run it through with its sword of truth.
Okay, it
It's
would
like, why do you want to believe in this
Okay,
rubbish
but
anyway? It doesn't get you anywhere.
it can't disprove this. You need a quantum physicist who understands Vedanta in order to parse this apart, which there's hardly any of them. There's hardly anyone that's smart enough to see through this and fight back. And if you see, it took me forever to find any kind of pushback against this.
Because it's so inefficient, but I can tell you
It
just
is,
by
and no,
reading
what do
these
you mean?
few
How is it
paragraphs
inefficient?
what they're
How is
up to.
how is it inefficient if 99% of the research papers are trying to say that Vedanta and quantum physics are the same thing? How is how is it so easy to disprove if the physicists can't see through it?
Because you're saying, so what? So what if it's the same thing? What's it
What do you
to
mean?
do with
What
the
do you mean?
price of
So
fish?
that has very deep implications.
Okay, let me just read you out the second bit of what I
Yes,
think.
but that's not. You're only reading the secondary. You're not reading the mechanics. You're not reading
Okay, no,
the.
I don't want to read the mechanics
Okay, but
because it's
that's the important
complicated. But
part.
what I want to do is to show you what its claims are. Because you can say,
Well,
oh,
I know that's
with
what
the
I
Abrahamic
said.
religions, so you're going to be guaranteed eternal life and justice in this life and the next. That's what the Abrahamic religions guarantee. Yes.
Okay, not
That
everyone's that simple. I mean, some people are a little bit more complex than that, and this feeds that need for complexity.
yes, yes. Okay, but we're just we're just looking at the car, and we're imagining what we're going to say when somebody says, "What is this thing in front of me?" Then we have to say it's a car. It'll get you from A to B, or whatever it is.
Okay, yes, but
You have to start at the beginning
some people
to
are
at least get people interested in the subject.
no,
You
but
haven't
some
explained.
okay, Claire, some people are smarter than you and actually care about how the car works and what's in the engine and what kind of fluid to put in it and where all the nuts and bolts go, and they want to tear it apart and then rebuild it. Like not everyone is just like, oh, here's a car to get me from A to B. Like some people actually care about the inner workings of cars. And I would say that those people actually have a lot more influence over the idea of what a car is in the end, even though most people are not car mechanics. The thing is that people are going to listen to car mechanics. If a car mechanic tells you something about your car, you're more likely to listen to it than someone who only cares about getting from point A to point B. And again, you're just obsessed with mass movements. And the thing is, you're like, oh, well, I mean, who cares what the physicists say? There's only a couple thousand, physicists around the world, or whatever the number is. There's only a million physicists around the world. Who's going to listen to them? No, people listen because they're educated.
Well, all I'm saying is wait for them to form an interest in the car. You don't just let somebody who's never seen a car, don't know what the hell it is, and give them a course in mechanics.
Yeah, well,
You have to at
eventually
least
I become interested. Okay, not everyone is going to become interested in mechanics, but for the people who do become interested in mechanics, it's very important that they're not being misled.
okay. So
Okay,
what I'm
well,
saying about the possible appeal of Vedanta is the following. If I can read it out. So it says the Vedanta philosophy asserts the essential non duality of God, soul, and universe, the apparent distinctions being created by names and forms which, from the standpoint of ultimate reality, do not exist. Vedanta accepts all religions as true and regards the various deities of the different faiths as diverse. And now I have to click on the thing to read the next paragraph, and it doesn't seem to be doing it. Uh, um, so I don't quite know what to do. Okay, I think okay. Let me just wait for the thing. Okay, according to Vedanta, religion is experience and not mere acceptance of certain time-honored dogmas or creeds. To know God is to become like God. We may quote scripture, engage in rituals, perform social service, or pray with regularity, but unless we realize the divine spirit in our hearts, we are still phenomenal beings, victims of separative existence. One can experience God as tangibly as a fruit lying on the palm of one's hands, which means that in this very life we can suppress our lower nature, manifest our higher nature, and become perfect. Through the experience of God, one's doubts disappear and knots at the heart are cut asunder. By ridding himself of the desires clinging to his heart, a mortal becomes immortal in this very body. That the attainment of immortality is not the prerogative of a chosen few, but the birthright of all, is a conviction of every follower of Vedanta. Now, I think that's very useful because we now know how they are selling it and why they're using these words to sell it to people who want to think they are God.
well, but that's just the secondary. That's just look. I started that Christian Science Hinduism.blogspot.com because the look. The only reason at first I couldn't find anything to fight Vedanta when it came to quantum mechanics, but those swamis said that you could raise the dead and heal the sick, and so I said, well, that's not true. So I mean, you like, but then they
Sorry,
have
what,
like
what did you say was not true? I didn't catch
you
that.
cannot raise the sick, you cannot raise the dead or
Oh,
heal the
you
sick
cannot raise the dead.
with Vedanta. You can,
Mhm.
but for most people, unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be enough to disprove the theory to them. So yes, the secondary things I agree might seem silly, but the actual meat and potatoes of Vedanta is rather seductive to people who have learned anything about quantum mechanics, and and then the simplification is, even worse. The simplification making it obvious for the general public, um, to understand these concepts, but they're being misled, and it's a misunderstanding.
Well, I mean, okay, the appeal of Vedanta, as I see it, would be that, people want to think that they are divine and they are going to be united with God and that
Well,
they can do it in this life,
well, yes,
right?
but
That is
you
the
don't have
appeal
to.
of
You don't
Vedanta,
need to
isn't
think.
it?
No, but you don't need to really think about that in order to worry about what the quantum physicists are saying. I mean, that's kind of like the icing on the cake, right? That's like that, but that's not the actual cake. That's a cherry on top. I'm talking about the actual cake that people are eating. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about these spiritual implications. I'm talking about the actual. Has more to do with consciousness than it has to do with uniting with God, or doing this or doing that. Um, how
Isn't
consciousness.
it? I mean, what's a big deal of consciousness? We're all conscious.
Well, but people have these questions. You don't have these questions, but people have these questions.
Well, I suppose they mean by that awareness, then it becomes a matter of knowledge and wisdom. And, they're just using all these new words to, when they're perfectly good
They're not
old words for it,
new.
such as knowledge and wisdom.
They're not really new words.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we just have this desire to be, well, to be like God. And then somebody says, "Oh yes, yes, and you can do this in your own lifetime if you
Well,
follow
it's
me."
seductive, and people are falling for it. Vedanta is only becoming more popular, not less
Which
popular.
which is why these religions have to be con- well,
But it's not going to
discredited,
work. It's
discredited.
just calling them idolaters is not going to work. That's not quite enough
Well, I
to
would expect Jews and Muslims to agree with me,
yeah,
unless they're too
but it's not
scared.
enough. You can't just go. You're not going to win going up to people and saying you're idolaters when they have, when they're just going to say, well, science agrees with my concept of reality.
Well, and then they say science has nothing to say about God.
No, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about consciousness and the actual understanding between the outside world and the inside mind and how they work together is what I'm talking about.
Oh, you think about it's about mental health issues. You're
No,
saying,
not mental health. No, how the inside mind and the outside world interact with each other. In Vedanta and quantum mechanics, it oftentimes looks the same.
okay, what I thought you were saying was that, we have a story about ourselves that we try to make come true, and this comes into conflict with, other stories that other people might have formed about us and the reality um of our vision, or how true to reality it is, and and whether it is in harmony with the group consciousness, the consciousness of the group that we are associated with. And there are, like, we're either male or female, we're either married or not married, we're either married parents or not married parents, and that we're citizens of different countries,
Well,
and
it's not
have
exactly a
who
net.
follow a certain political ideology. So there are
It's
all
not.
these sort of different groups pulling at us.
It's not exactly. But this is. You're trying to make this fit into the Abrahamic, like, you're trying to talk about narratives, and that's not exactly, what Vedanta is. It's not a.
Well, the narrative of Vedanta is saying you can achieve divine consciousness within your lifetime. It's not just the privilege of yogis and you know aesthetics. You can do it too, ordinary American, ordinary European. It's that sort of they're trying to create a new religion, and they're going to say, then they're going to say, oh, scientists agree to make it more plausible. I mean, I can see that from a mile off. But it is very easy to debunk if Jews and Muslims are not too afraid of calling out idolatry when they see it.
Well, it's not that easy to debunk because there's no real Jewish or Muslim information on debunking the relationship between quantum mechanics and Vedanta. And also, Jews are trying to say that Kabbalah, which is idolatry, um,
No, I wouldn't say it's idolatry. It's just a sort
proves
of
Vedanta.
spiritual reading between the lines of the Torah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but the idea that you can unite with God in your physical body is idolatry.
Okay, I'll have to look up Kabbalah, but I mean, as far as I understand Kabbalah, okay, Orthodox Jews say you're not allowed to even think about learning Kabbalah until you're 40, because what is absolutely required is that you must know what the halakha is, i.e., the rules, the practices, and what you're supposed to do as an observant Jew. And Kabbalah presumably tells you, the reasons behind all these rules. So, because I mean, Kabbalah is about, it's from the Zohar. The Zohar is about, mysticism, which is their kind of mumbo jumbo. So I'll just quickly read you the two sentences in Wikipedia that describes Kabbalah. Jewish Kabbalah is a set of esoteric teachings meant to explain the relationship between the unchanging eternal God and the mortal finite universe. It forms the foundation of mystical religious interpretations within Judaism. And I'll just mention that I did go to the London Kabbalah Centre, and it was, well, Madonna, when she was living in London, did a bit of Kabbalah. And one of the few lessons we were given when we joined was that a lot of Jews were so angry with this rabbi for um, promoting this amongst Gentiles that they beat him up. So that's how objectionable Orthodox Jews find the idea of selling it to Gentiles, because it's esoteric. We can look up esoteric, but as far as I understand it, it means very exclusive knowledge, esoteric, intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest. So most Jews are not interested in Kabbalah. I mean,
No,
there
but that
might.
doesn't mean that it's not idolatry. I mean, look, Freemasons take this idea of uniting with God in your physical body from Kabbalah. I have all the information on that. So, I mean, let's look up, because you know that there are Jews that think that Kabbalah is idolatry and paganism. You know that, right?
Actually, I didn't. But okay, the whole thing is that you're not supposed to do this unite with God thing until you're dead.
That doesn't
So
mean it's not
anybody who's
idolatry.
offering you this within your lifetime is probably a charlatan or a snake oil salesman.
But that
I,
doesn't mean
I
it's not
guess the most it can offer
idolatry.
you is that that you feel you might have done that, that for like the Buddha, you reached a state of enlightenment.
Yes, but I'm just because you do this when you're older doesn't mean it's not idolatry. Who cares what age you are?
No, no, idolatry is when you think you can.
Unite with God in your physical body.
Yes,
Okay.
before you are dead.
Okay.
I mean, you do see the logic of this, can't you? Because it is sort of um, not respecting the supposed bargain that mortals have with God, which is that, we're going to do what we can in this life to show that we know the difference between good and evil in theory and in practice. And then, if we pass the exam that is this life, we go to the better place. That is basically the bargain. And Vedanta, it seems, wants to get round this bargain and by saying, oh no, no, we've got an even better deal than your deal with the Abrahamic God. We're going to say to you, we're going to show you that you can achieve union with God in your lifetime while you still retain the use of your physical body. Silence. Okay, I don't know. I mean, have I basically? Oh, right.
Hello?
No.
Yeah,
I thought
I got
I
thrown off for a second.
dreamed
So
because I think I'd got to the bottom of the story of the whole subject.
this is from the Jerusalem Post. Many believe that Kabbalah is an unintellectual retreat into the world of superstition and magic. Others believe that Kabbalah is a road to heresy. And while some may be true for some, modern Orthodox Jews should make the same allowance for Kabbalah as they do for the possible danger of secular studies.
Hmm.
I've met Jews that say Kabbalah is paganism.
Okay, I mean, from what I can remember of Kabbalah, it's just sort of calming methods like, well, don't be so reactive. Even things are annoying, don't react.
It goes
You know,
deeper than that, Claire. It
yeah,
goes,
yeah, but I mean, okay, I only did the beginner classes. So it's all, take a step back, don't get angry, try and forgive others, that sort of thing.
yeah, but well, there's more to Kabbalah than that. I don't think you, oh, yes, but also, didn't you said you said you dropped out of your Kabbalah classes.
No, no, I only did the cheapo beginners class. But what I noticed about the class is that it was full of women. So women who were hoping to, well, we're obviously not very happy that they're single. So some of them would be, well, quite a few of them would be successful career women, and there would be, not that many men because men think, all this is mumbo jumbo and hocus pocus. And what they do is they choose plausible men, who have the gift of the gab and who might be found attractive by women to lead a particular table. They're divided into groups, you see. So they're all divided into groups, and they find the most attractive men they can find from the group and get them to, you know, lead the, uh, you know, lead the group. And some of them quite enjoy it because then, they get a lot of female attention. And if they're single, they get a lot, well, they get their rocks off, I guess. And so, everybody's kind of satisfied. That I think is how they are run. But look, most religions and political organizations are about selling people dreams.
Okay, but not all of them. And just because something doesn't follow the Abrahamic model doesn't mean it's not a a threat.
Well, okay. I mean, obviously, it's a threat if everybody believes in it, but I'm saying it can be easily debunked And and I'm also
Not
saying
easy to
that,
debunk. You haven't debunked it. You've done nothing to debunk the relationship between quantum mechanics and Vedanta. You've done not a thing to debunk it.
well, I'm saying the bargain that Vedanta is offering people is
Forget that
apparently
part.
better than
Claire, you're
the
obsessed with
bargain.
stories. There's more than stories in this world. There's actual like understanding of the way the brain works. It's not all stories.
Well, the way the brain works is just psychology. It's like you already know from just by. I mean, you've heard of the Maslow hierarchy of needs, and people just want to transcend their lives, and this means union with God and eternal life. It's so it's so obvious.
Okay, here's these papers. I have tons of papers on this. Kabbalah and Freemasonry becoming one with God. The Freemasons believe in the existence of the Supreme Being. Kabbalists know that it exists. In the beginning, okay, wait. I've already read all these papers on how Freemasons got this to become like God again. This is why a lot of Kabbalists, this is why a lot of Jews
Reject what?
reject Kabbalah.
Well, I mean, but okay, from what I can gather from what Rabbi Mizrahi said, most Jews don't have time for all this Kabbalah
That doesn't
nonsense.
change it. That doesn't change that it's idolatry. That doesn't change that.
I
How does
don't
that
see
change?
that Kabbalah is idolatry. It's esoteric knowledge
Becoming
that
okay? Then why do some
most
Jews
people with
reject?
busy lives do not have the time to do.
Then
And
why
and,
do
and,
some
and a
Jews
lot of
reject?
the practices of Judaism keep Jews very busy indeed.
Okay, why do some Jews reject it if it's not idolatry?
They just haven't got time for it.
No, that's the difference. No, they're calling it paganism. Why do they call it paganism?
Okay, I didn't know they were calling it paganism.
Well, I
But
just read that to you
I
from
mean,
the
maybe
Jerusalem.
they just say, "Go, it's a lot of hocus pocus and mumbo jumbo for snake oil salesmen, some of whom are rabbis, to part the credulous Jew from his money."
Well, I'm just saying that there's a correlation between Freemasonry and Kabbalah and the idea that you can become one with God, and certain Jews reject Kabbalah as paganism for those reasons. And Kabbalah is being used to say that mechanics quantum mechanics is being used to say that Kabbalah is true. And
Okay, I mean, I would be inclined to be against Kabbalah if I were Jewish. Okay, I mean, I think it's a waste of time. Really, if you understood, the bargain between God and man, then you don't need all this sort of mysticism. You certainly don't need to pay to go to classes to understand all this. You just have to accept that this life is a vale of tears, and the purpose is to test our ability to distinguish good and evil in practice and in theory, and choose correctly.
okay, well,
I mean, that's it, really.
some people are interested in something a little bit more than that, and you're never going to erase those people. And a lot of these people are highly intellectual and have a disproportionate amount of control over society, like physicists. And it's very important to steer them in the correct direction and to fight misunderstandings. And as a person who actually cares about idolatry, I would think that you would actually be concerned that idolatry is being made to look scientific, and you're just saying, well, I have my stories, and I'm just going to not even answer the question. You know what I mean? I'm not even just forget it. And the only people that are going to forget it are you, but all these intellectuals are not going to forget it.
Well, these intellectuals are given too much time by credulous people
No, they're not. But
because
no, they're being fooled. It's not that they're having too much time. That it's okay. The thing is that it does look the same from the outside. It looks similar. I mean, you can't deny that. I mean, I don't even deny that.
sorry,
I,
what looks similar to what?
Kabbalah, Vedanta, and quantum physics kind of all look similar to each other.
I don't think so. I mean, obviously,
Why
there's a
would
bit of
why
psychology in Kabbalah, like, oh, there's the bread of shame, the manna
you
from
only
heaven. You
I
didn't
care
earn it. It
you
doesn't
only
taste
care about
good.
the
You
parts
want
that you
to give
care
back to
about.
society.
Claire, all
Hmm?
that's very simplistic to only care about stories and parables and things like that. That's not going to catch everyone. I mean, you think that your story is so magnetic that people are just going to forget similarities between Vedanta, Kabbalah, and quantum physics and just say, oh no, well, I have this parable and I have this story and I have this good advice, so I can just dispense with all this other stuff. But people
Yeah,
are
because what you want is, here is a simple version of things.
not everyone's
And here
simple.
is a version that you can understand and remember and tell others.
Not 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 everyone is that simple, and to just find your this is your other problem with your mass movement, that you only care about the glut, the lowest common denominator, and that's it.
Well, I just want to propagate the message ASAP.
Okay, well, not everything is lowest common denominator. Lowest common denominator doesn't always win out.
No, no, look, if you have a message, then you have to propagate it. And if
Yes,
you're going to
well, they're
propagate it, you have to
propagating it.
find the most effective means of
Okay,
propagating
well,
your
they're
message.
propagating it, but they're not necessarily propagating. They're propagating it amongst more of the intellectual elite. They're not propagating it amongst the masses, but the masses are being fooled in that they're listening to the physicists.
Yeah, yeah. So you have to simplify things for them in a way that they can see the utility of, even if they don't like it. So, as far as I'm concerned, the Abrahamic God is useful, even if he does not exist, because it is a system of problem solving. And this is the most important thing to understand. And then I understand the mechanics of it were, well, I do understand the mechanics of Judaism. So, I mean, I was just listening to Luke Ford talking about the Zone of Interest, a film that he saw um, yesterday. Well, he streamed about it yesterday, and then he was talking to this anti-Semite, and anyway, so the subject is back to Jews again, and obviously Jews would be concerned about rising anti-Semitism. Muslims would be really hating on Jews, and non-Muslim Gentiles would also have a view on, who they hate more. And I noticed that um, Elliot Blatt was talking to Luke, and then they were saying, "There's no point having principles, is there?" And just showing that they're not really getting it. You know, I mean, Luke didn't convert to Judaism because he believed in God. He. Well, I think to psychologize him, he preferred to okay. He converted to Judaism to reject Christianity, and also he thought Christianity is a low status religion because of what happened to his father, and um, and also he thought, Luke thought, that by being a Jew he could get away with saying all kinds of things that, you know Gentiles in America would get accused of being a white nationalist. So he thought he could get away with it, but censorship increased until he got strikes. They YouTube took off his videos and demonetized him and messed him around, and then he realized it didn't really help being a Jew. But what he did was talk to somebody who was really, really anti-Semitic, and I was just listening to it before. I haven't finished listening to it yet. And he was the sort of man who said, "Not enough Jews died. Not enough Jews died in the Holocaust." And then he also admitted that it doesn't matter what Jews do. even if they hurt themselves or kill themselves, he'd still hate them. I mean, he actually admitted that to Luke. And so this brings us to the um, question of whether certain beliefs are evil. Because, I guess, okay, now we're in the age where we think Nazis and anti Semites are evil. But then, I guess, if you think of things from the point of view of Nazis, they would think, well, because we believe that Jews have it for us and want to destroy us and undermine our civilization, etc., we must deal with a Jew in the most effective way possible. And therefore, because we believe this and we sincerely believe this, we don't think we're doing anything wrong. So we are talking about stories and belief systems, and I'm saying there is a way of choosing the most effective moral system, belief
Okay, well,
system.
there's nothing stopping people from mixing. Well, I don't see what would stop a Muslim from mixing. Maybe they wouldn't take the conclusions of Vedanta, but they could say Vedanta understands consciousness, and then that might lead them to believe in the conclusions of Vedanta. And,
Well, no, because
wait,
look,
let's say there's Muslims who
okay,
believe.
let's go back to the third principle of Judaism. Just go back to the third principle of Judaism, which says Jews are not allowed to conceive of God as in any way material or physical. So, in the mind of um, the observant Jew, or the correctly thinking Jew, God and his creation are separate. So that's how they have to think. They have to think that God is pure spirit and energy existing outside the universe after having created it. And if he wants anything done, he'll send his agent, the Holy Spirit. That's been the system for centuries. And if we don't understand this basic mechanism of Judaism and Islam, then we're not correctly understanding the bargain that God is making with us.
Okay, you're
And he's
missing.
basically saying, believe in me and you will enjoy eternal life and union with me, but not while you are still alive, inhabiting your physical body. You'll have to wait for that, well, afterwards,
Okay, well,
after
you're
you're
missing the
finished with your
point.
body.
You have a story, and the Vedantists have the seeming supportive quantum physicists, and you're just saying, well, I'm just not even going to deal with that. Your whole thing is who cares and move on, and I'm not even going to address that question. And people have this question, and people are going to say, well, why should I believe in this story when physics is backing up my other belief system? And on top of it, I can become God and all these, and I can get all these
Yeah, but
blessings.
I'd say it's your narcissism that makes you think you can become God uh, while you
Well,
retain
that's
the
not
use of your
going.
physical body.
That doesn't answer the question of why physics makes it look real. None of that is going to. You're just ignoring people's desire. You're just ignoring. You're just saying I'm just going to ignore all that science and those questions and just not answer them. And I'm the one.
Because I think
Okay, Claire,
it's a
I out of
way.
way to disprove that quantum physics relates to Edwina because I actually understand that people have these questions, and to just not answer them is, you have to use science to battle this. You're not going to do it with a story.
Well, actually, you can. Or I certainly don't deny that there are people who want this thing that Vedanta offers, and I'm saying these Vedantists are snake oil salesmen, and
Very
you should
hard to detect.
beware.
So very hard to detect snake oil salesmen. They're not. I mean, Claire, you couldn't look, Claire, you wouldn't even bother to find the science to disprove them because you just, you just you're not going to answer their questions. You're just going
Yeah,
to dismiss.
I'm just going to label them as, credulous fools who,
Okay, well,
who
that's
think they
easy.
can, avoid the the who deny the narrative of the Abrahamic God
Okay, well,
because they want to do things their own way.
they're just
Uh,
going to say science is on my side, and you don't, and that's all they're going to say to you is that, well, at least I have science.
yeah, I'm not denying the utility of science, but science has nothing to tell us about um,
No, it has to do with how
laws, moral laws that we.
this isn't
Science has
about
nothing to
moral
tell us
laws.
about which is the best
Claire, not
religion to
everyone thinks
choose.
like you. People have different. This is not about moral laws. This is about how consciousness works. And then once you prove that, once you say, okay, Vedanta understands how consciousness works, then you can unite with God and this and that. But the thing is that previously to that, it is making it look um it is making it look scientific, and so people are going to have those questions, and you're just saying I'm just going to call them snake oil salesmen without even proving the science. I mean, I
Yeah,
actually
I think Jews and Muslims will agree with me. So I
well, but
don't think I'll be on my
yes,
own.
well, but they're not if they're not going to use science to disprove it, then they're not going to get anywhere.
No, no, you just use logic to disprove it.
You can't. No, you're just using the Abrahamic narrative to disprove it. That's not science.
No, the narrative is that you can point to Jews and say, obviously
Not
believing in the
everyone
most
views
powerful God
Jews as
conceivable
the
has helped them
authority.
somehow, somewhat.
Claire, not everyone views Jews as authority, and you're just thinking about people who think like you. You're not worrying about people who have a different mindset, and you're just cutting off half the population because you're saying I'm just going to do it my way. I'm going to explain this in a way that makes sense to me, and I don't care about what you're thinking. I care about what I'm thinking, and
Okay, well, okay, I can tell why you are doing this. You want to do this because you think there is something better than secular Quranism.
no, I'm not. I'm doing it because I think that the relationship between quantum physics and Vedanta is wrong. That's why I'm doing it.
Well, it's easy to prove that it is wrong.
No, it's not
And the
easy.
motives of the people
Well,
selling it.
there's been absolutely almost absolutely zero attempt to disprove scientifically Vedanta, or at least to separate quantum physics from Vedanta. There's almost zero uh, attempt at that.
Okay, but nobody it has been mentioned in um mainstream media, has it?
Vedanta, it's mentioned in scientific papers. I mean, physics is not usually in mainstream media. Well, this is the other thing. You don't care. You're like, it's not in mainstream media. Who cares that all these physicists are falling for it? Again, you only care about mass, glut, the lowest common denominator, simple intelligence, simple stories, and not everyone is simple. And the simple people don't always run society.
Yeah, but if the government is promoting this Vedanta and
Well, they're
quantum
not promoting
physics
Islam
thing,
either. They're not promoting Islam either. I mean, not everything is the government. Sometimes, people, without the government, are able to affect society. Not everything is government. Not everything is, it's just, you have this very simplistic approach to these things, and some people are more sophisticated than all that.
well, I suppose I'm very wary of snake oil salesmen.
Okay, but you can't prove. Can you prove the difference between quantum mechanics and Vedanta?
Well, uh,
Can you?
I don't know enough about quantum physics, but obviously, if you're trying to If you say it's a scientific religion, people go, ooh, it's better than, that would be better than an unscientific religion, you
Okay,
know?
Claire, why would you think that it's a waste of time to actually prove Vedanta isn't quantum mechanics? Why would you think that's a waste of time?
Because A, nobody is worried about it.
Stop saying
B,
nobody, Claire. Stop saying a lot of people are worried about it. You're not, but a lot of people are.
okay, you're worried about it, and I'm saying no need to
Well, you
worry.
should be
You
grateful
just
that
destroy their claims with arguments and
what
facts.
arguments, what science can you use quantum mechanics to disprove? Claire, can you use the inner workings of quantum mechanics to disprove Vedanta yourself?
Well, I don't think there's any need because
Hey,
basically
fine. Well,
anybody who wants Vedanta wants to believe in it.
well,
And they probably
because
don't know anything about quantum physics anyway. And if
well,
you
the
tried
quantum
to explain
physicists
it to them,
do.
they wouldn't care.
The quantum physicists do. Plenty of people, millions of people, go to India to study Vedanta, and there's
For
plenty
a nice holiday.
there's plenty of Vedanta schools here in America. There's more Vedanta schools than there are secular Quranism schools.
Well, there's no need for a secular Quranism school. Did you go to a Vedanta school?
I didn't know because I don't. All I know is that quantum physicists are saying that quantum physics comes from Vedanta, and I'm trying to say no, it doesn't. And you're saying there's no need to even prove any of this because you're very arrogant. You just think that you didn't consider it, so therefore it just nobody is considering it.
I'm saying that uh, quantum physics would.
Make
Oh,
Vedanta look is being made to make.
yes, yes, because then they're going to say, "Oh, look, it is a scientific religion. Come on over."
Yeah,
That
well,
that
and you don't see this as a threat because you think everyone's going to just think like you, and everyone's going to
yes, yes. I mean, I think Jews and Muslims can easily
not
make
Jews
the
and Muslims
argument
are not
I've
the
done.
whole world. Jews and Muslims are not the whole world. Let's look up quantum mechanics and the Trinity because
But it's
they're
just so ridiculous. I can't
it's
believe people
not
are
well
making these arguments.
if you're being told okay, yeah, Catholic standards, quantum mechanics provide an analogy for the Trinity. Here, there's a
An
video.
analogy.
Quantum
Come on.
physics and the Trinity, quantum mechanics and the Trinity, quantum mechanics, a way to understand the most. Hold on, I'm looking it up. Hold on. The most holy Trinity. I mean, because if you're saying that a particle can be one and many at the same time, doesn't that prove the Trinity?
No, I mean, I've already solved the
Oh, it's
mystery of the
many and one at the
Trinity.
same time. Okay, okay, a particle can be many and one at the same time. At least that's what they're saying. Now, I'm saying, I'm finding the scientific evidence, and I found it that a particle can't be one in many. And you're just saying, well, I'm not even going to bother to look at the science to try to disprove you. I'm just going to use my theories and analogies and all this other kind of stuff, and I'm just going to tell you to forget what the physicists are saying.
Yes, because I have nothing convincing to say about religion.
If a particle can be one and many at the same time, so can God.
No, I've already solved the mystery of the Trinity, and it's about
Not
winning an argument
scientifically,
against the Jews.
not scientifically. You didn't prove it scientifically. You're just, you're you're just not. You're being lazy, and you're just saying, I don't need to worry about science, and
Yeah,
that's
because
it.
it's separate. These are separate branches
How
of.
does okay? If a particle can be one and many at the same time, why can't God explain that?
But people
Explain it. Can
don't
you
think people are not going to believe in God because they think he's what he can be more in one place is
Why?
more
But
than.
if okay, but if a particle can be one and many at the same time, why can't God? Who says that? It makes sense. Okay, a particle can be one and many at the same time. It really can't, but I had to go find the information to prove that, And you're saying, well, I don't even want that article and don't care about that article. All I care about is my story.
Well, because I actually take have taken on board Yuval Harari's book *Sapiens*, which says that, well, I haven't even read it, but anyway, it seems to be saying that people are make up stories and then act as if they were true, and that's basically what people
Okay,
do.
well, you're saying that even though I have the evidence that the Trinity is not true, I'm not even going to use science.
I don't
Even
think
though
anybody believes in the Trinity. It doesn't. Nobody thinks of,
why? If they're writing articles saying quantum mechanics proves the Trinity, they obviously believe in the Trinity.
well, if they're Catholic, then they'll be sort of clutching at any straw that
Well,
helps them
that sounds pretty.
prove the Trinity.
If a quantum physicist is telling you a particle can be one in many at the same time, then I don't see why God can't be one in many at the same time. I don't see that.
No, a
Why should
Trinity is just a unit of three.
so what? So is a particle. It can be many and one at the same time. If it can be in
But
many,
you're saying it isn't.
yes, but I actually cared to find the scientific information to prove it, and you're saying that I wasted my time.
Okay, so that's what you're so offended by. All right. I mean, I think we're able to kind of sometimes work out preemptively whether somebody's talking nonsense or not. So if somebody comes up to you and talks about a married bachelor, you can safely conclude that he doesn't know what married means or what bachelor means. And they'll probably be talking nonsense. I'm just saying that, there are
Hello?
ways of kind of preempting being told nonsense by people and wasting your time.
It's not wasting your time to prove that something that people are saying is scientific actually isn't scientific. Well, Claire, I wanted to find the science. Are you saying that like I'm the only person on earth that wanted to know the science and that everyone else is just going to believe in Abrahamic stories?
Well, yes, because the Abrahamic God has a narrative that is easy to understand and which people
Okay, well, I'm a little
already
bit
half
deeper than
know
that,
about.
Claire. I was actually concerned, I actually wanted to disprove that quantum mechanics proves the Trinity. I actually cared about the science, and I'm not alone. If there's like 500 science articles, not if there's like 50 websites trying to prove that the Trinity and quantum mechanics are the same thing, yes, I'm going to try to find information to disprove that. I'm not going to.
What?
Nothing, Jumbo.
Trinity in quantum mechanics?
Yeah. I actually did care about, and I found it. Somebody wrote about it. They didn't write about the Trinity, but they said no, a particle can't be in two places at once. And so I think that somebody who was being fooled by that would reconsider it rather than, well, don't listen to what the scientists are saying, listen to my Abrahamic narrative, and all will be fine. Some people are a little bit deeper than that, Claire.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to say, you can't deny that Jews are the world's most ancient and powerful tribe. You
Oh
can't
God,
deny
Claire,
that
not everyone
the
cares
Muslims have
about the
been around for
Jews.
1400 years.
Not
And
everyone cares about the Jews. Well, Hinduism is older than, and you're just saying, well, first of all, Jews are more powerful than Muslims, so we should listen to them over Muslims. And you're just saying, well, first of all, you can't really prove Muslims are more powerful than Hindus, especially now that it's looking that they're making it look like quantum physics is Vedanta, and also the fact that the Jews are viewing the Hindus as more useful as Noahides than Muslims. I mean, it's you're just saying, oh well, India is a twice fallen civilization, so therefore don't listen to what they say. I mean, lots of heretics, lots of scientists were burned at the stake. That doesn't mean that what they were preaching was wrong. Galileo or whoever wasn't Galileo like thrown into a dungeon or in a tower. That doesn't mean that what he was preaching was wrong.
No, no. But what I'm trying to say is that, if you understand the principle of idolatry and you know what Hindus do, you're not going to be calling Hindus no hide.
The point. Okay,
And if a
back to the
Jew
point.
says that,
Okay,
then there's
well,
something
Claire,
wrong with them.
you're saying using science to disprove Vedanta is a waste of time because nobody cares about that, because I don't care about that, because I don't care about these things. And you know what I mean? A lot of people are falling for this, and uh, I didn't use an Abrahamic narrative to disprove it. I used science, and not everyone cares about the Jews. Not everyone cares about the Muslims. Not everyone cares about idolatry. There's other people out there, and you're just dismissing them, and you're just dismissing them.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's kind of lazy and ineffective.
Well, I mean, people are welcome to argue that I'm wrong and Vedanta is quantum physics and all that, but I doubt that, anybody would care enough to even engage on the subject. I mean, I guess you are because you've invested so much time studying it.
Yeah, well, I'm not the only one. I mean, millions of people are learning Vedanta all across the world.
Well, credulous people who are probably Islamophobes.
No, look, not everything is Islam. You think quantum physicists are saying Vedanta is true because they're Islamophobic?
Yeah, because they're saying, oh, we can make up any crap. We don't have to follow the
Not
Quran.
making up any crap. They're being deceived because they look similar.
I mean, it's in a way quite predictable that, somebody said, this is a scientific religion. People will think, well, that's better than an unscientific religion, isn't it? So, people know the kind of, words to make the product they're selling more attractive.
Okay,
It's a
well,
rational religion, it's a scientific religion, it's a modern religion, it's a Western religion,
okay.
all kinds
You
of
just
things to make it more attractive to
you
Westerners.
think because you don't care about these things that nobody cares about them, and that's obviously not true. Since there's like 5 million websites interacting, showing the interaction between Vedanta and quantum physics. I don't think thousands of websites and scientific papers promoting this means that nobody cares.
Well, I think a lot of people are trying to create a new religion. I certainly, meet
It's not a
quite a
new
few people, and
religion.
you are one of them.
It's not a new religion. It's older than Islam. It's not a new religion.
Yeah, and some people will say, oh, because it's older than Islam, it's better. And I'm saying, no, because India's a twice fallen civilization.
Okay, well, Muslims can't work against Jews or against the West. So,
Well, I
I
think they can. I mean, a lot of Jews are very nervous about rising anti-Semitism in the West.
well, Islam. What about rising Islamophobia?
Well, I suppose the Muslims would think, well, that's just what we'll have to deal with and maybe overcome
And
in the
Jews
end.
can't think that too.
Um, yes, they can think that, and I guess it's an ongoing story. It's uh, I don't know, a story that isn't over, and people will be, putting their bets on and backing their favorite horse. But I'm saying you can, it's obvious which book you ought to choose from, the Torah or the Quran. If you think, oh well, I guess we'll have to follow God's laws. Oh, there are two. Well, which one doesn't have the 36 capital offences? We'll follow that one then, because we don't want to be, executing people at the drop of a hat. It's
Well,
that simple.
okay, but not everyone is that simple, Claire. I mean, some people have.
Why don't they want things to be simple? I think
Well,
it's because they,
they're
they
not
just want to,
everything in life is simple.
just try all the wrong ways first and try them again and
Not every,
again and
not
again.
everything is simple. Not absolutely every single last thing in this earth is simple, and it's not always the masses that matter. Sometimes, sometimes, you know, more complicated things win out or have a greater because the people who study complicated things tend to have more authority.
Well, I guess I've been studying complicated things like mad people who well, not mad, just neurotic, because they're in denial. They want to remain in denial because they don't want to accept this thing that they hate. And I'm just saying, well, it would save you time and save you a lot of inconvenience and suffering and bad stuff that's going to happen in between now and when you accept that the thing. I mean, what's so hard to understand about the nature and purpose of religion? People don't have it for fun. I mean, people don't feel, oh, we're going to obey all these rules because we just love to obey rules. It's because they must realize at some level that having laws protect us from
Okay, but not everything is about. I mean, even though I understand laws are important, I also understand not everything is about laws. I mean,
such as.
well, Vedanta gives people a lot of comfort. I don't even know how it gives them comfort, but religion should also give you some degree of comfort. And if people are feeling comfort in something, it needs to be monitored. It's like a drug. People
Yes.
can get high on it, and if it's bringing them
Or
comfort.
lose their money because of these charlatans. I mean,
Okay, but if
you
it's bringing
showed me
them,
this video of Herbert Armstrong and how cynical they were.
okay, Claire, you would
But
never be able to stop the spread of Vedanta in a secular Quranist society just using your methods to defeat it. You wouldn't. It just wouldn't work.
no, I would just set up debating societies in every.
Yeah, but Muslims wouldn't even know how to debate this. They have no tradition even similar to it.
Well, okay. I'm just saying, call it idolatry,
That's not enough.
and say, well, Hinduism is an inferior religion anyway, of a twice fallen civilization. So why are you so
That's
dumb?
not.
Why do you want
That,
to
that doesn't.
follow it?
That doesn't prove that Vedanta is false. That none of this proves Vedanta is false.
No, because the idea, which is from Judaism, is that God is separate.
I
Is
know, but
separate
you're
from
not
his creation.
understanding.
So there will be people who say, "Oh no, we prefer to think that we are
Which is back,
stardust.
and they're going to
We
say
have
it's
the
backed by.
divine spark."
They're going to say it's backed by quantum physics, and you're going to have to find some way to disprove that. And you're just dismissing the science, even though there were papers on it that took me forever to find. Um,
No. Okay, Vincent, I don't know why you were so scornful of panpsychism. Wasn't it you who chortled at the idea of panpsychism and
I
said
don't
it was
even know. It
stupid?
wasn't me. I don't even know what panpsychism is.
Oh,
It
I
wasn't
wonder who it
me.
was then.
It wasn't me. I don't even know what is panpsychism.
Well, it's the idea that um, there are particles that can can suffer pain. Let me just check. But this is one of the ideas that I've discussed with Jen Shah. I'm surprised you didn't come across it because she and Duvid were often talking about it. Perhaps you forgot or something.
Well, it wasn't me. That was. I didn't even know what panpsychism is. But
Okay, so let me read it out to you. Panpsychism is the view that all things have a mind or a mind-like quality. The word itself was coined by Italian philosopher Francesco Patrizzi in the 16th century and derives from the two Greek words pan, all, and psyche, soul or mind. Panpsychism, well, let's read the Wikipedia thing. Um, it is the view that the mind or a mind-like aspect is a fundamental and ubiquitous feature of reality. It also describes it It is also described as a theory that the mind is a fundamental feature of the world which exists throughout the universe. It is one of the oldest philosophical theories and has been ascribed to philosophers, including a whole list of them. I'm not going to read them. In the 19th century, panpsychism was the default philosophy of mind in Western thought. but it saw a decline in the mid 20th century with the rise of legal positivism. Actually, I didn't know that. Recent interest in the hard problem of consciousness, which Duve is always going on about, and developments in the fields of neuroscience, psychology, and quantum physics have revived interest in panpsychism in the 21st century. There you
See, this is
go.
what I know. This is I don't really believe in it, but they're using. See, this is it shows that they're using quantum physics to try to prove these things. But I'm saying these are misunderstandings that need to be disproved, and you're just saying I'm not even going to engage in that question, and I'm just going to talk about idolatry, and that's it.
Yeah, yes, that's kind of my. But I'll read you
Well, that's
something else,
very
which is about
easy.
Vedanta. Do you
That's
want me to read?
well, no, no. Can you? Okay, well, physics is being used to support panpsychism, but you obviously you believe in panpsychism.
No,
Okay, so then why don't you care that quantum physics is being used to support panpsychism?
because I don't perceive it as a danger.
Why? Because nobody cares about quantum physics because you
That's right. I mean, okay, I might care about it if suddenly CNN and BBC are talking about nothing else but panpsychism. Then I might care about it.
wow, I mean to just dismiss philosophical concepts because it's not on CNN is very it shows just how shallow your whole ideology is.
I don't have time to waste on discussing peripheral things and
It's not
fighting.
peripheral. It's not peripheral. These quantum mechanics is a major philosophical discussion in the world today, and it really
Well,
is.
they should be discussing theology. So all
Well,
this
it's
is
not
time
every
wasting nonsense.
not everything is theology, and some people actually care about these things. And just because it's not on CNN every day doesn't mean that it's not out there in the world, and doesn't mean it doesn't have power in a disproportionate amount of power.
Okay, so from panpsychism, they were talking about Advaita Vedanta. Have you heard of it?
That's Vedanta. That's what I'm. When I say Vedanta, I mean Advaita Vedanta.
Okay, so um, anyway, but okay, so it's basically about non-dualism and equated with monism, and it's about the idea that Brahman alone is ultimately real, while the transient phenomenal world is an illusory appearance of Brahman. In this view, Jivatman, the experiencing self, is ultimately non-different from Atman hyphen Brahman, the higher self of or reality. Oh God, what is the point?
Well, just because you don't understand it doesn't mean that other people don't.
Well, they just like their mumbo jumbo and hocus
It's not
pocus.
mumbo jumbo. If quantum physicists are falling for this, it okay. I agree with you that it is mumbo jumbo, but it's mumbo jumbo that's so sophisticated that many quantum physicists can't see through it.
Well, you got a few comments addressed to you in the chat if you want to read it.
No, they're just making fun of me. It's not really. It's he didn't. I said that I was arguing a scientific basis for the existence of God. Not really.
Well, he seems this living the dream person seems to know something about it. I don't know why I have to explain the Sephirot. Why do I have to explain it? I mean, and
Because
what does that
quantum
prove?
physicists are saying that quantum physics and these things are the same, and I'm saying that they're not. And I said, let me prove it. And I didn't waste my time. And somebody who is interested in these things would prefer reading a scientific paper on it than getting a lecture about idolatry.
Okay.
I mean, you're just like, well, I don't care about these things. So I mean, I've never really met an ideologue that didn't want to engage on a competing philosophy on its own terms. And, if it's making claims that it's science, you have to prove that it's not science. And
well, that's the thing. It's quite easy to
no, it's
well,
not.
not accept their arguments.
Oh, well, you haven't been able to give me one example about how quantum mechanics is not Vedanta.
Well, because so what if it is? It doesn't
Well, because
mean
then idolatry is true, isn't it?
no, no. I'm not denying the existence of
No,
idolatry, and
idolatry
God
is
is not
real, meaning that
denying the existence. We're talking about whether it's a good thing or not,
look, if
and we
something's
can tell it's a
true,
bad thing.
people are going to care if it's true. People are going to care if Vedanta is true.
It's just okay. They can't
This is
prove
the
if
same
it's
argument
true
I'm
or
getting in.
not.
This is the same argument I'm getting in with Emo Monk. He just says even if we don't have free will, you shouldn't argue it because that takes away your power. People care if determinism is true. People people are going to care about truth. They're not just going to say, "Well, determinism looks true, but that doesn't help me." So I'm
No,
just
no,
going.
no. What I'm saying is, there's no point arguing about things that you won't be able to prove one way or another.
You can prove Vedanta is not quantum mechanics. You can prove that.
Yeah, but so
It's not, it is
what?
worth arguing if you can make a point.
It would only be worth arguing about if it were being widely reported and a lot of people declare themselves to, be
Okay, Vedanta
Vedantists
is
and it
very
has some kind
popular.
of political
Vedanta is very
influence.
okay. Vedanta is very popular. Maybe not in your small circle, but it is very popular, and it's
But by
also
what New Age people, I
no,
suppose.
not well. It's a little bit different than well. New Age is really very popular as well. I mean, look, you obviously, I don't know, you don't even listen to Muslims or Christians or Jews when look, Muslims I think would be very interested in negating Vedanta. I think that they would not just say, well, we're not even going to meet you on your own scientific terms and care about quantum mechanics. I think that a missionary, a Christian missionary, would be very pleased to find a paper that disproved the connection between quantum physics and Vedanta.
Yeah, I suppose I think it's so easy to debunk Vedanta that
No, how you
I
just
guess
idolatry. All
I
you're
just
saying,
don't perceive it
your
as a
whole
threat.
debunking is that it's idolatry. That's all you have.
Yeah, no, I'm saying look at the Hindus.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that Vedanta is false. How does that prove Vedanta is false? Prove that to me.
Yeah, because nobody can prove that it's true.
They are using quantum physics to say that it's true, and I'm trying to use quantum physics to prove that it's false. I'm using science to prove that it's false.
Okay, so the only people who have an interest in proving that it is true are the people selling Vedanta
And people who
to
are learning it, and quantum
to
physicists,
credulous white people
not
who
just white people. Not
who
just, there's
probably
plenty of
hate
Indian people that
Islam
follow
and
Vedanta.
Judaism
It's
and
not just the people that are.
Christianity.
It's not just the people that are teaching it. It's the people that are learning it, and these quantum physicists that are spreading this Kool-Aid.
Okay, so I'm saying the people who are most likely to get into this sort of thing would be people like Jen Shah, and she's an anti-Semite who hates Islam. So
Just
I can
Islam
predict
doesn't answer these questions. People have questions beyond that Islam answers.
well, I mean, okay, they can ask away, but they're not going to get a sensible answer.
Okay, well they think they're getting one, and I'm saying that that needs to be negated.
Yeah, and the quickest way of negating the
It's not
Vedanta
calling
is
it
to
idolatry.
say it's rubbish
That's
and
way
idolatry.
okay, Claire. This I think this conversation is too complicated for you. To be honest, you think that just because it's complicated, you can just dismiss it, and that's it, and that's all you care about. And also, I mean, that's low quality propaganda.
Oh, I don't see why we have to waste time to, entertaining really weak and convoluted ideas.
They're not weak.
And
Not weak. Stop saying it's weak.
okay,
It's
well, can you find anyone to discuss Vedanta with?
Well, if you go
Maybe do
online,
that.
yes, if you go online, you can go into any Vedanta group. You don't you I mean, yes, there's like a million Vedanta. Go on Facebook and type in Vedanta and just join any of their groups.
I think I'm probably more interested in debunking the anti-Semitism and Islamophobia
Yeah, because
of.
you can't debug because I'm sorry, but I just don't think that you're just not on that level of understanding that you would even care that people are thinking like this. I mean, I don't know how as an ideologue you don't care about the way people are thinking, but you're not going to meet them on their own. You're just leaving the argument and just throwing the word idolatry at them and leaving it at that and throwing in the towel and moving on.
Well, I think that the groups that I want to deal with are Christians and anti-Semites and Islamophobes, and I suppose I just rotate between these groups to, well, defeat their argument. And hopefully, when they've been defeated enough times, they will get on board secular Quranism.
Well, you're not going to defeat them on their own terms or using
Well,
science.
because they don't really care about the facts and the argument. That
Yes,
is
they
their
do. You
problem.
don't care about. You're the one who doesn't care about the science.
I mean, this is all just using deductive reasoning anyway.
No, this is much more. Claire, I think it's I think it's too complicated. You think it could just be so boiled down so easily, and it just can't be.
Okay, well, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree.
Okay, well, I just think that. Okay, well, I won't bring it up again because you just simply do not care. Um,
Is there anything you want further you wanted to say on the subject that you maybe you
No,
haven't got round to telling me?
I said it, and if you want to see a scientific rebuttal against the idea that Vedanta and quantum mechanics are the same thing, go to christiansciencehinduism.blogspot.com, and I have the scientific papers to debunk it, and Claire is saying don't even bother reading them.
You to sound so mean.
Well, it's true. You're saying it's just a waste of time to even care about the science.
Is it a long
No,
post?
no, there's two of them. Does
Okay.
quantum
I'll
is
try and leave a comment.
There's one called More Discrepancies Between Vedanta and Quantum Physics, the questioning of quantum physics relationship to Vedanta. There's two articles on it. If you,
Okay.
they're not long. It's just I just copied and pasted the extract and or whatever. I extracted the area that mattered, and I showed the differences. So now nobody can tell me that quantum mechanics proves Vedanta, and I've solved the problem. And you're just calling them idolaters and saying don't even bother reading the scientific papers.
Okay, I will read them and comment. Do you know how many of your posts are commented on?
Yes, I do. I see when you comment on them.
Oh, good. As long as you know.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's that. That was the result of my third ketamine treatment, was thinking very deeply about these things and actually worrying, about it. And I found what I was looking for. And, or at least I have an argument against it. And I think it's stronger than yours against it.
Against what? Sorry.
Against Vedanta, I think my argument against Vedanta
Okay.
is stronger than
Oh, right,
yours.
right, right. Okay, I thought you were still talking about ketamine. Okay. Okay.
No, ketamine is what I was just thinking about this over and over. And it made me so desperate to find anything, and it was so hard, and I was so angry because all of these Western scientists are not debunking this nonsense.
Well, everything's so corrupt. Nobody is doing their job.
Well, at least I did my job.
Yes. Yes, and well done. I didn't mean to sound so dismissive.
Okay. Anyway, I'm going to let you go because it's an hour and 44 minutes.
Yes.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Bye.